Really want to talk about your twin home birth.
Oh my goodness. So there's two babies, and I was like, what kind of mom do I want to be? Like, for me, that woman is cooking breakfast and dancing with her kids, flipping pancakes on Saturday morning. We are going for a walk down the road because one of the kids want to. And we're putting on dresses around the house just because I'm a woman and I have daughters and we can do those kinds of things. And it makes you feel fancy. Just because you had a bad morning, a bad day, doesn't mean that you can't at one point stop and just breathe. Have that compassion with yourself and have that grace with yourself. I think that's something too that we tend to miss in our culture is talking to our kids like they're another human.
Yes,
like,
totally.
I don't know. We just don't communicate well with them, I don't think. And then I think in turn it gives them this kind of literally not understanding of what's happening around them.
Yeah.
And just to be like, all right, listen, what I did is not the kind of mom that I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I was really angry, and that's why I raised my voice. That voice was probably pretty scary to hear coming from me. I'm sorry for that. It's not how I want to be, so I want to try again, and can we have a do-over? Not even each day, each moment is an opportunity to make motherhood what we want it. If I would have known what I know now.
So I am just so excited and I feel honored to be able to talk to Ashley today because I have been following her on Instagram. We have been Instagram friends now for the last, I don't know, I want to say like 5 years or so. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been just stalking you and admiring you from a distance now for years. And I just really appreciate you and your heart. We're going to talk all things home birthing, homesteading. That's something I'm really interested in chatting about because I know you guys are first generation homesteaders. And I feel like in this day and age where so many people's interest in some type of homesteading has been piqued, I feel like really since 2020, you guys being a couple that has like fully gone in and done it. I'm excited to hear your story. And Ashley, to those of you that don't know, another fun thing about her is she actually birthed her twin babies at home. And that was such a wild, just like, even from the internet, from the distance to watch that journey. I remember you talking about, oh man, my belly's bigger than normal this time. I guess it just starts to stretch faster. And I was like, oh, because there's two babies in there. That was just wild. So welcome, Ashley. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is so wonderful.
It's very surreal that it's finally happening, and I just appreciate you saying yes.
I know, and I just feel like we've known each other for so long now, and it's great. It's super. It's an honor to be here.
You're one of those people. I was talking about Michigan the other day, and I'm not planning on moving to Michigan, but I did for half a second look at your guys' like land prices and your house. I'm like, I know I'm friends with a couple people. Ashley's in Michigan. So you got lumped in as like one of the people that I'm friends with that lives in Michigan. All right. So let's start off there. Are you from Michigan? Did you and your husband, how did you meet? Because I know you guys got married very young. Did you meet in high school in Michigan? Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Yeah, so my husband and we both went to high school together. I actually went into a class, like a study period, with my cousin and our favorite teacher because we're cool like that and go to hang out with the teachers in study period. And Jake happened to be in that class, and I don't know, ever since then, I think he had seen a picture or something that I had on my phone of a deer that I shot or something like that at the time. And he was like, oh, hey.
That's my kind of gal.
Yeah, and then it turned into me going to the study period to not just hang out with the teacher anymore. I was hanging out with Jake.
So you guys were like 17.
The rest, yep. He was 17. I think I was 16, something like so. Yeah. And then, the rest is history.
Wow. Oh,
Here we are 5 kids later.
Yeah. Okay. So you were hunting at the time. You didn't come from like, absolutely. To me, this is all new, right? Dan I keep saying he caught an elk this year and everyone's like, oh, that's so like caught. I'm like, I don't harvested. I don't know. I didn't come from any of this. So you were a little bit into, I guess, nature, right? You were hunting.
Yes and no. I grew up in the city for most of my life, and then probably around my teen years is when we moved to the country, and then just different friendships and things got introduced to hunting. But that was it. That was the only thing that, and I rode horses. So
Oh,
that homestead
yeah.
thing, if you want to call it a homestead thing that I did. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it brought us together. So
To this Angelino, that still is pretty country. Like I realize that it's multiple steps removed away from homesteading because actual
right.
homesteading, like what you guys are doing, looks like a lot of, you really got to have the knowledge and the discipline. But that's more country than me. And like I said, and new to all of this. Okay, so you had been a little bit around it, but not much. So what about Jake's background? Had he been around homesteading stuff? He had hunted because he saw that in you, but was that kind of it?
He grew up in the country for pretty much his whole life. So he definitely had better, or not better, but more experience with that sort of thing. He grew up hunting and fishing and things like that. But that was his extent too of homesteading. He had some farm friends that he was friends with and things like that, but not firsthand really experience with anything.
Okay.
We just jumped right in
And just did it.
fail our way forward.
Yes,
That's
totally.
what I love to say.
That's amazing. So you met when you were teenagers, 16, 17 years old. At what point did you guys get married? And did you talk about this homesteading dream before you guys got married?
We got married. Goodness. We just celebrated our 11th anniversary. 18 and 19 maybe is when we got married.
Okay.
I want to say. I feel like I should know this, but
No,
numbers.
this is making me feel better because every time we hit an anniversary, I'm like, is it this many years or this many?
Yes,
even my own age
for
sometimes.
If it was, yes, if it wasn't for Jake, I would not know what number anniversary we're celebrating unless I like went back and did the math, and which is
You're
not
like,
really reliable.
I'm in it for life, so I lose track.
Exactly. Who's keeping track, right?
Yeah.
And then constantly asking Jake, am I turning this age this year?
Yes. Like, I literally looked at my mom the other day and we had to sort it out because exactly that. I was like, I'm not exactly sure if I'm turning 37 or 38. We figured out I'm turning 38, but yes, we are on the same page with this. Yes, so did you guys talk about the idea of possibly homesteading together before you got married?
Not really homesteading, I guess. We never really planned to homestead. Our dream was to one day have enough property to hunt, like our own property. Because for the most part, we've always just hunted other people's property. And so that was something that we talked about. We knew like we wanted to get chickens and whatever, but it was before I even knew like the trend of homesteading us. These are some things that I didn't slap a label to, but we wanted to like get chickens one day, have enough land to go hunting and things like that. I never really expected us to be all in like we are now.
Yeah.
But here we are. And we had to wait a period of time before, I say have to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
We chose to wait a period of time before we really delved into any homesteading topics or things because of the military. We knew we would be moving, things like that. So we didn't start until he got out of the Marine Corps. And then that's when we transitioned to start doing some more homesteading, self-sufficient things. And yeah.
And when did he get out of the Marines?
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
I think we just talked about this. I think it was 8 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so you were on a different property before. Now it's like faded from my memory where you were before. But I remember when you were leaving there, I was like, oh man, where are they going? Whatever it was, I remember I liked it. And I was like antsy to see what are they going to be doing next. So you were on a different property before and you were homesteading there.
Yes. Yeah. I actually just had a dream. Not that you need to know this or anybody else.
No, I need to know it.
I just had a dream last night that we were back there and helping the family that bought it from us. They ended up moving out. I had a dream that we were back there, like packing up all their things with them. And I was like, we should move back here. I don't actually feel like that, but I just think that it just held such a special place in my heart, which I said, like, I would never, who cares? Like, it's just a house. It's 4 walls. It's not a big deal. Nothing to get attached to. And then we moved. I was like, wow.
I'm really attached.
Yeah. Yeah, like I had my babies here and like I went through a miscarriage there and we lost animals there and learned so many things there within those walls. There was just, but we're happy here. Yeah. And I don't want to move back actually, but my subconscious was like, we're
I
going to
know
miss
what you
that place
mean.
forever.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I've moved actually way too many times. We have probably moved 10 times over the course of our marriage, like a lot, maybe even more than that. But the places that I've really loved, it's like you leave a little bit of your heart there. Like you do, you have experiences that once you leave it, you're like, wow, there's no going back. And that chapter is closed. And that's beautiful. But it's also, it's bittersweet. I guess that's why that word exists. It's bittersweet because you're moving on
Yeah,
to something else. But
absolutely.
oh man. And especially once you start having babies. That's how I felt when I left
Yeah.
Nashville. I'm like, dude, that's where I birthed my son. I can't,
Yeah.
it's just, and then it's weird when you sell the house to someone else. You're like, do they know that I had my baby here? Like,
But
your people
do they
probably
want to
know.
know? Like, should I tell them?
Yes,
Because that's so cool. Should
I
I
know.
show them where I had my baby at? And then you're just like, okay,
I
not
know.
need
You know,
information, but
maybe
my
they
baby.
don't need to know that. I know this might creep someone out, but I think it's cool.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's time for a sponsor of this video, and that is Honeymark. If you haven't heard me talk about Honeymark, then I don't think you've been watching my channel very often because I love Honeymark. I love Honeymark. How many times can I say Honeymark as a brand in general? But I am obsessed with their modest swimwear. Their stuff is so cute, first off. They have the most adorable prints, beautiful cuts. I'm obsessed with their ginger swim romper. But I also love that their suits are so well made. They're so durable. I have actually tried other modest swimwear in the past, and some of the other brands that I've tried, when you like get in the water, they hold water so much that when you get out, they're just saggy and like inches longer than they actually are, like when they're dry. Honeymark suits don't do that. They somehow magically maintain their shape, and the fabric dries insanely fast. All of the suits are breastfeeding friendly, and the swimming dresses, which I love, have shorts underneath, which is also really awesome because for me, my bum is the number one thing that I'm trying to like have a little more coverage on. And they have shorts underneath the dress that are long enough to prevent chafing if that has been a problem for you in the past. I'm obsessed with all their suits. I have a code right here if you want to check them out. I believe it's Nikki10, and I will link their stuff down below. As always, I appreciate it when you shop through my links, and I have loved Honeymark for years now. So I truly think if you buy their suits, you're going to be obsessed. You're welcome in advance. They're great for like summer camp, chasing around your kids at the beach. They also double as like athleisure. You can go from like the lake to the grocery store. I've done that multiple times. And yeah, back to the video. No, I know. Okay. So you were at that other property for what, about 4 years? 5 years?
Yeah, sounds about right. 4 or 5
Okay.
years.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So when you bought this property, now this is where, because I feel like you were homesteading before in my eyes, but
Mhm.
this property is where in my head you became like straight up Little House on the Prairie, where it was like, oh my gosh, they're like building a home from scratch. They are like taming the land. Although I know your farm is called Untamed Farm, but you were like taming it and building it and just making it into a home. Even seeing your room right now, like it's been so beautiful to see the progress that you guys have made. So what was that process like? I don't even remember, did you build the house literally from the ground up? What did that journey look like?
What was it like? Yes. There was a lot of tears.
I
it
believe
was
that.
it was wild. So yeah, when we bought the property, I guess I'll kind of rewind. It was a last minute decision that we were like, maybe we should sell our house and see if there's a bigger chunk of property out there. The way the housing market was going, we were like, now is the time to sell if we're going to do it. So we just prayed about it, prayed for if this is supposed to happen, God, just open those doors and show us. And there was a period of time where I was like, after our house was up for sale, we got an offer on it within less than 24 hours and we were moving forward. And then the buyers pulled out. And then it sat for a while. And I was like, maybe this just isn't, God is just saying no, and praying for peace and like being content with where you're at and what you're doing was big there. And then during that time, we had sent a few letters to a few different landowners in the area to see about purchasing their property if they were interested. We're very unconventional, but just going out on a limb to see if anybody would want to sell the property that they have.
Yeah.
And we received a yes from a family that's who we were working with when our first home buyer was going through. But then we had to pull out when they pulled out. And that was really heartbreaking because like we had gone there and like where would we put the house and the driveway, and you just
Oh,
walk into a place and you picture your family. You know what I mean? Like
yes. Full
walking
on dream building.
through
Yes.
walls, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to pull out. That was a huge bummer. And then, like I said, our house sat for quite a while. We had a few showings here and there, nothing spectacular. And then out of the blue, one day at a family dinner, we received a text from this number who, this was months after we had sent a letter. And this guy was like, "Hey, I've been thinking a lot more about your letter, and I think I want to sell the property to you. And just, are you interested? Talk." And
Chills.
yeah, it was such a God thing. It was such a God thing. We were able to buy for under market value,
Wow.
which is something that we needed to make happen
Wow.
to be able to do what we're doing. In the end, yeah, it was just really cool how that whole story, there's so many, I have it on my Instagram too. I'm sure I'm leaving out details because it's been not so long, but a few years ago now. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of details that I'm leaving out. It was a really neat thing how God worked in that whole thing. It was such a God thing. Anyhow,
Isn't that
so
amazing?
we moved to it was incredible. We moved to a vacant soybean field, is what it was.
A soybean field.
And we literally, soybean field, yes. There
Cool.
was nothing but soybeans here.
Wow.
And we started from ground zero. There was a lot of different steps. There was no electricity, there was no driveway. There was so much work to be done. And so we just started and built a barn. That's when we parked the camper inside of the barn while we built our house. And
Okay.
it was wild. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you parked the camper. Okay. I want to back up before I ask this next question because your story of sending out letters to people, I think is really interesting. And to anyone that's watching, I guess I just want to highlight that because you are not the first person. In fact, you are probably the fifth person I've heard say something like that just within the last couple of months that they acquired their property
Wow.
by just reaching out to people. And I think we're so like, I don't know what the word would be, quick to think or just trained to think that like the way you get a house or the way you get property is by going and seeing what's available and what's for sale, who's selling, and just going through those traditional steps. But I've heard that, like I said, a lot recently from people who just found the areas they like. And I just got chills again. And they just, some of them, they actually went up to their door and just knocked on the house and they were like, would you consider selling? And so I think that's worthwhile for people to take note of, depending on where they're at in their journey, because you really never know. Oh my gosh, I have chills again. I don't know. So I give myself chills and I get chills from other people a lot. I'm all woo. But yeah, you really never know where someone is at in their journey. And just because something isn't listed doesn't mean they're not thinking about it. Or it doesn't mean that like by you popping on their radar, you alone might be able to plant a seed that they're like, you know what? I think that is a cool idea. Or I didn't really think I wanted to leave, but maybe this is my time. So I just wanted to highlight that for anyone that's listening, because I've really been fascinated that I keep hearing that from people that they just reached out to people, whether their stuff was listed or not. So that's really amazing. So you started off with the barn and you parked your camper and you just lived in the camper in the barn while you started building the house.
Yep. Yep. That's pretty much exactly it. Our first thing that we had to do, because we are in Michigan, the winters are so harsh here.
Oh,
The camper that we had was not winterized or anything.
ooh,
So being outside wasn't an option. So we put up a pole barn and then we put a wood stove in there to keep the barn above freezing. And then we parked the camper in there, and that was our home for a year while we built our house and finished the inside. And then, yeah, and then we threw the loop of having a baby. We decided that was a good idea,
wait a
which
minute.
it's been a blessing.
Oh, that's right. You had the twins in the old house.
Yeah, yeah, the twins were
Okay.
in the old house. And then, yeah, we had our fifth baby in
That's
our new house.
right. Okay. We are
And
going
that
to
was
end
my
up,
big push
and that was your what?
to finish. My big push to finish
Oh, okay. All
the
right.
house.
We are going to end up circling back to the twins at some point because I do want to talk about that pregnancy and delivery and all of that.
Yeah.
But that's wild. I forgot it was on the other property. Had you guys had, I know you had no homesteading experience. Did you guys have any experience or any clue as to what to do to build the house? Because that's and the fact that there was no electricity there, like nothing, no water, that sounds like a very large and overwhelming process to even begin. I'm like,
It was. It was very, in the moment, we just took it step by step, day by day. Looking back now, we just crack up and we are like, I can't believe that we did that. What were we thinking? We had twin 2-year-olds and then
oh
a
my
4-year-old,
gosh.
and we had our cows. What were we thinking doing this?
Wow.
It was wild. But yeah, so Jake actually, his dad was doing construction. So
Okay.
Jake learned a lot from his dad doing construction.
Awesome.
And he's very, my husband is in general is a very, if he doesn't know how to do it, he's going to learn
Yes.
how to do it.
Handy, jack of
So
all trades, figures it
yes,
out
he
kind of
saves so
guy.
much money, so much money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No
But
kidding.
yeah, so we hired an Amish crew to put up the walls and the roof. And
Wow.
then my husband and his dad came in and did all of the rest of the flooring and the drywall and the HVAC and whatever else.
Wow, that's
So
incredible. So you said you look back and you're like, what were we thinking? What do you mean by that? Do you mean that like what, now that you have done it all, you look back and go, oh snap, there could have been a better way to do all of those things, but we didn't know it because we hadn't done it yet? Or would you have done stuff differently? Or what do you mean by that?
just not that we would do anything differently, but necessarily. I'm very glad that we did it. I don't have any regrets in doing it. Just if I would have known what I know now, I think I would have been a lot more like, wait a second, pump the brake. Are we sure about this?
Ah,
Living 6 months without electricity and water is going to mean like hauling water to the cows in 5-gallon buckets. And then it's going to mean running a generator and having to, fill up the generator in the middle of the night, or just things like that. And then we had 3 kids at the time. So there was 5 of us living in a camper, and not everybody was sleeping through the night yet. So it was, no, there was 6 of us. I'm sorry, 6 of us living through the
yeah.
camper. I just
I was gonna
canceled one of
say,
my
I'm like,
kids.
ooh, I'm like, I
Sorry.
guess I had the number wrong. Gotcha, good.
Sorry to whoever that was. I canceled in my head. We
That makes
had,
that
yes,
actually
so
makes
we
me
had
feel
three
better
of
because I
us.
was like, oh, I guess I'm miscounting, but you miscounted, so that makes me
I
feel better.
miscounted. I
Good.
miscounted.
Yeah.
It's like the slight panic when you go, someone asks for the kids' birth dates, and you're just
Oh,
like, wait a second. I know this, and I promise I'm really their mom. Just give me a
no, I
second.
know. No, oh my gosh. Side note, mom brain is so real. And when it happens to me, I'm always like, dang it, no. Because I want to like defy that. No, not mom brain. But then it'll happen and you're like, wow, that was really mom brain. It went away because you're
there's
just,
there's no other explanation other than
yeah.
mom brain.
No, it's just you're birthing babies and getting milk. Oh, that takes so much energy. I just feel like it makes you go, yeah, thoughts just float away sometimes. All right, I'm back with the next sponsor, and that is Bioptimizers. You've probably heard me talk about this too, but this is Magnesium Breakthrough, and it is the magnesium supplement is going to focus that I am low key obsessed with, and I take every single day. What makes this supplement superior to other magnesium supplements on the market is that it has 7 different types of magnesium. So you are actually dramatically increasing the bioavailability, like the likelihood that your body is going to absorb the magnesium when you take a magnesium that has so many different types, because different types of magnesium do different things. So I take magnesium just because I feel good when I take it. I think it's good for basically everyone. I have heard that most people are deficient in magnesium, but I also specifically take it because it helps me achieve a very restful, deep sleep. And one fun fact, when I was pregnant, I actually, both times I've been pregnant, I get like pretty bad restless leg syndrome. And it's a little bit maddening if you've never suffered from it, because you literally feel like your legs can't stop moving. And I noticed that every single time, there was no exception, that I started to get restless leg syndrome, if I took my magnesium, as long as I was regular with it, I never struggled with like restless leg syndrome. But if I didn't take it and I would start to get it again, I'd remember, oh my gosh, I didn't take my magnesium. I'd go take it, and it was gone, like within honestly minutes. So this stuff is really amazing for lots of different things. If you haven't done a magnesium deep dive, go for it, because I think most people could benefit from taking magnesium. So I love Bioptimizer's magnesium. Logan also takes a mini amount of their sleep breakthrough at night too, and this really helps him fall asleep faster and I think sleep deeper. They're backed by lots of testing for all of their products, lots of research. So yeah, overall, I'm just a really big Bioptimizers fan. So if you use my code NikkiP10, that will get you 10% off of any of your purchases on Bioptimizers. As always, thanks for shopping with my code. Let's hop back in. Okay, so you just look back and it's just, wow, that was just really hard. You wouldn't change it. You just don't know how you made it through it.
Exactly. Yep. I don't know. By the grace of God. That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 100%. Yeah.
Exactly. You tell me. I don't want to correct me if I'm projecting onto this wrong. Oh, my husband just texted me, we are at Jump for Joy. That's really cute for you guys. That's a local trampoline place. I'm like, oh, we got an extra plan in the mix. Okay, yeah. So like I said, you correct this if I'm like painting this wrong, but it just seemed okay, you guys had never done this before. Yeah, there were a lot of hardships that you encountered, but it just seems like you had to do it that way because you just had to do it. Like the suffering through those hardships are what brought you to this point now. And it just seems like it had to happen that way.
Absolutely. Number one, it did have to happen that way, quite literally, because we could never have afforded to expedite the process in terms of hiring out people. If my husband and his dad wouldn't have been the one doing the work, there's no way we could have funded what we did, because the cost of labor, so much money, which going through the process, oh my goodness, I understand why people hire people to build their house. There's so 100%. Much. And I'm like, I know some of those people get paid good money, but I am just like, I don't know if it's enough. Like right. Yeah. It's a luxury service, and totally. I never want to lay brick flooring again.
Oh, you have brick flooring?
We do, in our mudroom.
Yes. Oh, how cool is that?
Such a dream. Did not like laying it, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we did it. I still look at it and I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy that we went with this.
You're like living in a Homestead magazine. But go on.
A lot of mud. With a lot of mud. And fly strip. No, can't forget those.
Oh my.
Yeah. So that's it. It was crazy. The whole thing was crazy. We couldn't have done it any other way. And it really did, I think, make us appreciate what we had a lot more too. Flipping on a light switch was a huge luxury. And doing dishes for your family, they add up. And then doing dishes in a camper is like this little tiny itty bitty thing, and that you're trying to cook for people. And I know you're the same way. Like, we're an ingredients household. When we're making, I don't know, muffins, we're getting all of the ingredients. And you have a size of a ruler counter to work with. And then your sink is even smaller. So little things like that, though. Our kitchen now is not big, but to me, it feels like I have so much space. Our sink is a standard as far as I know, but I'm just like, have you seen the size of sinks? These are awesome.
That's so amazing.
Like that. Or like showers, you can stand. I'm not very tall anyways, but still standing under like shower that's like covering from the top. Yeah. And you're not like crouching down to try and fit under the water and like, save the water pressure. So a lot of things like that, they really did help put things into perspective for us. Yes. And even while it's such an American thing, again, by the grace of God, but like even being in the camper and having that mindset some days, because it was, I'm not gonna lie, like it was a little bit crazy sometimes. There were days, I'll just say that there were days that were very hard. Yeah. But still thinking though, how blessed I was to be inside of a camper that was inside of a barn that was above freezing. And we didn't have water, but my dad lives 12 minutes away, and my husband is going to take his truck drive to my
Mm,
dad's, fill it up, and bring it back, where people are in these remote villages and places, or even right here
yes.
in America, really,
Yes. Oh,
you have kids and families who they don't know where their water's coming from, and they don't
yes.
have the ability to just go truck some in. So things like that to really put things into perspective for me. Like, while I'm here complaining about XYZ,
Yeah.
there are so many people, even within our own country, who aren't going to bed the way I am.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so,
It's like
yeah.
both existed for you because on the one hand, that sounds really difficult. I could imagine myself having some like crying breakdown days because the cold can add to things. Yeah, being cramped can add to things. Not having some of those things that maybe we consider basic, like you said, a shower that you can stand in and you're not like crunched over in, or like space to cook your food. Like that is genuinely hard sounding. Like you painting that picture, not everyone would suffer through something like that for the hopes of the end goal. Like you're not, oops, let's not knock it over. You're not guaranteed anything. You're not gambling, but you're risking. You're like, all right, let's try and make it happen. And that does sound
Mm,
genuinely hard. And then on the other hand, you're also, like you said, experiencing a blessing that a lot of people don't even have those basic things. And so the fact that you had that mindset to help you get through that is really great. And is one of the many things I love about you, like just your awareness about things like that, where people really are at in their lives and the blessings that we have. But I feel like on that note, you really, by moving into this property, I just keep thinking of Little House on the Prairie in the sense I'm a city girl. Like I said, I'm used to just everything being done. And I remember being a little kid, like when I would play pretend and I would just imagine like what it must be like to show up like on the prairie or whatever. And it's like, there's nothing here. Like you're camping, but you're
mhm.
going to try to fancy camp. It's like, how do we fancy camp,
Yeah.
set up our camp? To be honest, when we go around and walk in our neighborhood, I'll think that a lot. I'll kind of chuckle. I'm like, look at all of us with like our permanent tent setups, like with our heat and our water and all of that. But you guys, you were really doing that. You had to build from the ground up. And that takes, obviously, first and foremost, like the grace of God, like you said, like, holy moly, can't do it by our own strength necessarily. But like, it's also just, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just difficult and a gift that you guys were able to do that because we have renovated our home. We're not done with our renovations yet. And just the renovations in our home have been very difficult, very time consuming. And so I will just circle back to say, I can't imagine starting from scratch. That's absolutely, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. It taught us a lot. We did learn a lot.
I bet you did.
Yeah, we did. We learned a lot. And it was crazy. I am so thankful how everything did turn out. And there's that saying that things, something about worth waiting for, some things are worth
Mm.
waiting for, and it makes them sweeter, or something along those lines at the end.
Yes. That's what I keep thinking
Yeah.
about
And
this whole situation.
yeah, so it really did. Having those, what we, most of us in America consider pretty normal, light switches and sinks to do dishes and
Mhm.
counter space, things like that. It really did make it so much sweeter once we moved in.
That's what I was going to say is the fact that you didn't have those things. And like I said, when I would imagine when I was a little kid, like what it would be like to set them up from scratch, you actually lived that. And being able to set those things up, I can't even imagine the gratitude and the pride and the excitement that you guys must have felt and probably are continuing to feel because I know that you're still building things as you like push through the hardships and the pain. It's just incredible. Okay, this might be if this question is like oh my gosh, who's calling me? No, I'm sorry, sister. I can't talk right now. I'll call you back. Decline. I'll call you back. So this question might be a little too big. Any of the questions that I ask, if you're like, girl, I don't know, you could just tell me that. So if someone
Okay.
is looking to do what you did, essentially build a homestead from the ground up, like now that you're where you are, which like I said, I know you're still building, but you've done a huge chunk of the work. What are like 1 to 3 things that you would say that you really learned from this experience? I want to pass this to you. Take note on this.
number one, definitely look into your local zoning laws. Thankfully, things were relatively smooth for us. And I can't remember the order of events, but just for example, in order to obtain electricity, you had to have an address. In order to obtain the address, though, you had to have a driveway. In order to obtain the driveway, you had to get a driveway permit, like things like that.
Whoa.
And I have heard of so many people who have built who the county has come in and put the kibosh on things, and they're like, sorry, this can't happen, XYZ.
Wow.
So definitely know your local zoning laws and things
Wow.
like that.
Okay.
The second thing I also would encourage people to do is, if you are on a tight budget, learn to do things yourself. There are some things that you might not want to do yourself if you don't really have the experience. Maybe I'm just thinking like tile or something.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
it was I don't want to say the wrong thing and offend anybody who's listening who's like a tile person who's like, what?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
line of work is not easy.
Yes.
It
Totally.
wasn't easy, and it was tedious, and
Yeah.
it sucked. And I have such a respect for tile people.
Yeah. But it was learnable.
It was learnable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've also, though, on the flip side, I've also seen very botched tile jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in, like bathrooms and stuff. That's very important to make sure
Because
you
moisture.
do it right. Yeah, you just don't want cracked tile, 6 months down the road and problems like that.
Yeah. So
But,
be open to learning how to do things by yourself, but also learn how to do
know
them well,
your
learn
limit,
what's important. Yes, there's the phrase. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then my last thing I think is just really to just trust the process, which I feel so cliche, just trust the process. But it feels very big and overwhelming. But when you are 20 years down the road or less, a year after you built your house, you will look back and you will think, wow, I really made a big deal out of that I shouldn't have, or I stayed up way too late wondering about XYZ and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because it will be okay, and everything, it will work out. And just keep pressing your way forward. Like I said when we started, fail your way forward. And done is better than perfect. That was like my biggest thing, trying to get the house semi-finished before having our baby, was like, done is better than perfect, Ashley. Just keep going. Don't obsess over the small details here.
So if you follow me on Instagram and on YouTube, because I feel like I've put these videos up on YouTube, you know that I am a little bit obsessed with my Frownies. If you don't know what Frownies are, essentially face tape that helps to smooth and relax the muscles on your skin to essentially iron out your wrinkles. Now, I get asked a lot if Frownies work, and I just want to say with an emphatic, bold, underline, highlighted answer, yes, Frownies work. Now, Frownies, they're kind of like going to the gym. They're something that when you start them, you have to be pretty like consistent and regular with them. And over time, once you like achieve your smoothing effect, you don't have to be like as regular obsessive with them. But I use my Frownies, I'd say about 4 to 5 nights a week, and I love them. I notice the hugest difference in just I pretty much only use them on my forehead, and the smoothing effect that Frownies gives my forehead is actually incredible. They help to retrain your muscles so that you're not just furrowing and scrunching in your forehead 24 hours a day. It really relaxes them and smooths them out. I think of my Frownies as like ironing a shirt. You iron out the wrinkles and you start the next day like fresh. And by the end of the day, you might have some wrinkles back in. You do. You bring your wrinkles back as the day goes on. But the effect is essentially compounding. It gets better over time as you use it. And it's just really amazing to wake up, take them off, and start your day with a fresh, smooth forehead. I really appreciate it. I like it. I know that there's this whole movement around like pro-aging, and I am not like anti-aging. Like I'm not against aging, but I'm also pro things that make me feel refreshed. And it's not like I'm fooling anyone and acting younger necessarily by using my Frownies, but it gives me a refreshed feeling, a refreshed look. And I just love them and can't recommend them enough. So if you use my code NikkiP, you will get 10% off of your Frownies purchase. And like I said, I can't recommend it enough. I love them. They're amazing. Run, don't walk to get your Frownies. And yeah, let's hop back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of your life too.
Say what you just said again.
You just have the rest of your life to obsess over those small details.
Yes. And I feel like it's very easy. I don't know if it's like our culture nowadays or it's like this is just the human condition forever, but it's very easy to just get stuck in the short term and the now. I find that even, we'll see what God has for us, not to like flip the subject, but it's kind of relatable when I think about us possibly trying for another baby. And I was really sick. I know you know that when I was pregnant, like the entire time. And it's really scary, the thought of doing that again. I'm actually working with a woman who specializes in helping women with HG in the hopes of not having that again. But the thought is we wouldn't know until if and when I got pregnant, if any of that's going to help. And one of the things I keep weighing out in my head is like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. That was torture, like literally 9 months of torture. But also once they're there, like assuming I live a long, happy life, assuming that the Lord gives them a long, happy life, like we have the rest of our lives. And that's just like a blip in the timeline of life. And I feel like that's exactly what you're living out right now is like you went through that hard season and the torture, the RV and the cold pole barn, but like now you're reaping the rewards and you're seeing that you're spending a lot of time, you're seeing the timeline of life play out and you're living it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard though. I understand when it's all consuming and it's very hard when you just can't see past that.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to see past the here and the now.
Yeah, but it does end. It does come to an end.
Yeah. Something that I really admire about you, I said in the beginning, I've admired you from afar. And one of the things that I admire about you is, and I don't know how to word this in a way that isn't corny, but whatever, is you're just so in touch with real life. You're all about real food. You're about how that food gets to your table and making sure that's done in like a responsible, healthful way for the animals, for the land, for your family. You're that way, obviously, with birth. Like you're just very intentional in the decisions that you make for your life and your family's life. And I just really appreciate that. And where was I going with this? Because it wasn't just to like pile compliments on you, though all of those things are the way that I feel about you. You're welcome. But I love that. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go from there into the topic of the twins or food. I don't know. I guess we call it harvesting. Like I know you guys, I don't know if the word is butcher your own animal. I'm trying to decide which way. Does one way feel like more of an organic off-ramp first?
I think depends on your crowd. With me,
we're going to cover both. Okay, let's talk the food thing. Has it been scary? Because I have chickens, but like having chickens, beginner preemie level homesteading, I don't know how much farther we're even going to get in life. We've talked about this extensively. We're like, maybe we'll get goats one day, maybe some ducks. Like what I really want, like a big garden one day and potentially like, I would love a mini fruit orchard and I would love a big berry patch, but I am definitely like Dan harvested his first elk this year. It was scary for me, Ashley, seeing him like butcher the elk and I've been trying to eat it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, who am I now?
Yeah,
what is this?
It's a lot, right?
It's a lot. But the reason, I'm doing it and the reason I'm going this whole direction is like what I just said to you is a feeling of wanting to honor the animals, the land, my family. So how did that process unfold for you guys? Because I don't know, were you just like butchering straight from the get-go? Like how did it all unfold?
Yeah, I don't remember really when we started butchering like our homegrown animals. I think too, because we grew up hunting. I say we grew up. Jake grew up hunting. So that's never been a thing. Where me, on the other hand, I was the kid who was like, okay, all right, I'm basically still that kid, just in a bigger body, but who's like, save the ants from the pool. Like they're drowning. We have to save them.
Yeah.
Or trying to get, instead of, I don't know, I have a lot less mercy for stink bugs nowadays, but I'm just using this example. Trying to get the stink bug outside to safety instead of flushing it down the toilet because I'm like, well, what if the stink bug, he's so confused when he's going down the toilet and like, he's all wet. What is happening and how long is it going to take for him to die? Like this. that's where I started.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really am still very much that empathetic little kid that I was, just bigger, just more grown up now.
You tell me, but I think that the empathy is actually part of what plays into the path that you've gotten to now, even though people who don't know a lot about figuring out your own food, I think can sometimes be, I don't want to judgmental because I think, they're just reacting, but it's like they can think that it's the harsher path. And like I said, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that actually it's a very empathetic path, though at the surface it may seem like, what? So suddenly you don't care about animals because you're butchering them? I think it's actually empathetic, but take it away.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I do. I think so. Here's my whole thing. I think that we are so conditioned here in America to even off top, not in relation to our kids, like when they're little, we have this, I don't know if it's weird or not. It's probably just human nature, but to always want to like fix things, make people happy, make things okay.
Mm-hmm.
Our kid is crying, and instead of being like, oh, hey, that really did something, and I get why you're crying, and now go ahead, be mad about that, because I would be mad about that too, and then we're gonna move on, and that feeling is gonna go.
Yeah.
And we're so quick to be like, oh, don't cry, here, let's tell a funny joke, or here's take a piece of candy, or whatever.
Yeah, distraction.
The case may be. And sometimes I do think it's applicable in that situation.
Totally.
No, depending on whatever.
Yeah.
And I think too, relating that to food, we have this, I think it's just how we've gotten farther away as a culture from knowing the food that we're eating. We have this thought in our mind like, well, if I just buy chicken from the grocery store, then I never have to like see its face and think about it beyond what I'm making, what I'm using it for.
Yeah.
And I think you should be a little, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but
yeah, I get what you're saying. And yes, go on.
Yeah, but death is a part of that choice that you make when you consume meat or whatever the case may be. When you consume that, it did have a face behind it.
Yeah.
And it did have a body, and it did have a life. And while I don't want to get weird, because I don't know that God creates animals with souls and things like that, I won't get into that. But regardless, we do know that God created the animals. He thought that they were good.
Yes.
And I do think that God takes great pleasure in the animals. He saved them on the ark. They were important enough for him to save.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many things that with animals that God blesses us with, listening to the birds and watching the deer and all those sorts of things, or seeing the fish like peck the, or whatever you call it, bubble.
Yes.
What do you call a fish who does this with its mouth?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
Glub, glub, glub. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking, like guppy, glub. I don't know.
Yeah.
Things like that, though. I do think that that God thinks they're good. We should think they're good too. Bottom line. Yeah. And they are a creation of his. And whether we remove that face or not from the time that we purchase it to putting it on our plate, it doesn't make it any less real. And it still was there, and that still is a life worth honoring and caring for and things like that. So that's my whole
the disconnect. And I feel like that really is, unfortunately, that really is a theme, I think, that exists across all of many different sectors of society right now. And like, you could say in modern America, maybe just like the West in general, like just a disconnect from the things that I think actually made up like life prior to modernity. And I mean, that's one of, yes, not everyone was butchering their own animals. Maybe there was like a butcher in town, but there was still more of a connection to that than what I think most people are experiencing now. And there was an awareness of, that a life was lost to feed you. And I do think there is something like, it's like holistic to feel that, I don't know, like sadness or reverence for, thank you for this. I think that is part of the holistic experience of consuming that food. And so that's, just cool that you walk that out. And not only in your life, but your children's lives, the fact that your kids are aware of this process. Because from what I can tell online, your kids are pretty plugged into everything on the homestead and the circle of life, really.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
also, sorry, go on. So sometimes there's
No,
pauses and I can't tell if you're like, nope, got nothing else to say, or if it's like just a lag in Zoom. I'm like, I don't know.
on the topic of my kids being involved, it's been a great learning process for them and for me, and a great teaching moment for me as well. And something to really remind myself of, because again, like I still am that little girl who wants to save the ants from drowning. And I'm thinking about the stink bug and the family that it's leaving behind if stink bugs have families.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so it's always such a good reminder to me too, because I don't think that my kids necessarily come by it naturally to, even though they've been doing it really since they've pretty much been born. My youngest four, yes. My eldest, we didn't get into homesteading till she was over a year old, but pretty much from the time that they could make those connections, it hasn't always come easy to them.
Yeah.
Butchering certain animals. And so using that as a teaching moment to, instead of being like, we don't have to get sad about this is what they're here for.
Yes.
It's really a moment that I think that we could all learn from, is that I think we should feel the sadness that comes with consuming meat. I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with going to the grocery store and buying meat that's available.
Yes,
like we live in modern America, like you said, like there doesn't need to be a whole guilt thing attached to that.
I mean, chicken that's in the crock pot right now is from Costco, unfortunately. So it is what it is, right? But go on.
And it's available, and you're using that to feed your family in a good way, and it's going to nurture your family.
Yeah. And there's seasons and availability, and there's just lots of variables there, but go on.
Yes. Yeah. So just really honoring that sadness though, and that it's okay. It's totally okay. If you feel sad, because there's people who are like, oh, I don't think I could do it because I'd be so sad.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's what really gives you that connection with your food that you literally cannot replace. You grow something and you raise it and then you butcher it.
Yeah.
It's like full circle. And this animal is losing its life to feed your family. And I do think sadness is a very natural part of that we try and take away or hide or push back on. But it's something that I always tell my kids, that it's okay to feel sad and you can sit with that feeling, because I do think that this is how it's supposed to feel.
Yes.
As somebody who eats, this is something that we do. And yeah.
I wanted to, yes, and an add-on to that, give the caveat or the disclaimer, whatever, about how, sometimes we're going to the grocery store and it is what it is. It's okay. People are in different positions. I would add on to that. I was just visiting with a friend who, her husband hunts very regularly, but they have kept their little kids sheltered from the process. They're like 2 and 3 years old, around that age range. And they've kept them pretty sheltered because they felt like, it's not time yet. Like they're not ready. And so I also want to add on, kind of goes for this whole conversation, everything, even before we dive into the birth, that everybody's situations are so different. Every personality is so different. We live in a very specific time in history, like to each their own. I just think this is a really interesting concept. And along those lines of your children getting to experience and understand that sadness is a part of the circle of life, it makes me think about, okay, a few months ago, maybe it was like a year or two ago, actually, not a few months ago, I was reading a book about the reformers, like the Christian, like the Reformation. And they were talking about their kids. And I'm going to be missing out a lot of details here. So hopefully just get the general broad brush gist of what I'm painting. Basically, they were talking about the fact that the kids in the family were very connected to reality, around like understanding that people were dying from like different illnesses, from the weather, when they were traveling places. Like the kids knew it wasn't something that they were sheltered from, that, hey, death is a reality. And if you go on this trip with your uncle, you might die, because that's a crazy trip. And it really like struck me. Like I said, I'm not doing any of the stories justice or painting any of it, but you get the gist. It really struck me, just this concept of, oh yeah, that is interesting, because like welcome to life and reality. And in our, faith and worldview, the fact that there is a creator and that this is just a blip in eternity and then we'll be going home, but there's hardship and there is a circle of life here. And I think it's just beautiful that you're raising them that way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So speaking of the circle of life, now we're going to talk about, and you've home birthed all of your children, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all really phenomenal to me. Just want to throw that out there. But I really want to talk about your twin home birth because that is, home births are already like not that common, though I am 100% confident that they have gone up dramatically since COVID because many people have had their eyes open to all of this or that this is even an option, but it's still surprisingly like it's not the common thing, obviously, here in the States. And I would say it's even dramatically less common for people to birth their twins at home. So I would love to hear however much you want to share what that looked like when you found out you were carrying twins, what the process was mentally. Am I going to do this? Am I going to go to a hospital? Did that even cross your mind? Did you feel totally confident? Just whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah. So we got pregnant with the twins. Did not know it was twins at the time. Here's the crazy thing though, is let's see. My eldest was not quite 4, I don't think. No, I don't think she was 4. So we'll say a little under 1 and a little under, no, is that right? Yeah, a little under 1, a little under 4.
Okay.
No, that's not right either. A little under 2 and a little under 4.
Okay.
There you go. My math.
You got this.
Math is not my strong suit.
It's hard.
Simple addition. So the crazy thing is though, is I went and bought a pregnancy test and Shiloh, so my almost 4-year-old, didn't know. She has no clue what this is and what we're doing. We're just running errands with mom, little sister, whatever.
Yeah.
And she told me after we had left the store that I have a boy and a girl in my belly.
Stop it. I just got chills again. Oh my gosh.
You could imagine. I remember looking at her in the rearview mirror. This was before I even knew I was pregnant. I
chilled again.
Yeah, it was wild. I was going to buy a test, had no clue. I was thinking like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm pregnant, feeling your symptoms and whatever. And we're just like, we're going to find this out for sure. And then after we had bought the test on the way home, my daughter said that. And
wow.
I just remember staring at her in the rearview mirror like, what? And not even taking it literally, not thinking like, oh, maybe it's twins.
Yeah.
Just hearing her say this so randomly as I'm on my way home to take a pregnancy test was wild. Like wild. I will never forget.
Not what you expected on the bingo card.
No, not at all. So then, sure enough, fast forward, I'm 16 weeks or whatever. And I'm just like, man, my babies, my first 2 pregnancies, you couldn't tell I was pregnant until I was like 30 weeks. I don't know. Somehow, some way, suck those babies back to my spine or something because you just really, it was very hard to tell. And so here I am, 3rd pregnancy, and I was like, I'm a little bit bigger than typical for me, for my typical self. This is like what I look like around like 25 weeks. Like, what is happening here? And then there's friends, oh, it's just muscle memory, like your uterus is just overeager and you've had babies and blah blah blah. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. And so fast forward, my midwife comes over and she starts touching my belly, and then she measures it and she looks at me and she said, do twins run in your family? And I was like, no, like, why are you asking me this? So she was like, we'll order an ultrasound, like if that's fine with you, and just kind of see how things are in there. And I was like, all righty. And she said, the funny thing too, is that she said, she said, have you been more hungry than usual or something along those lines? Oh my
gosh.
And so what I immediately think of is this flashback of a couple weeks prior. And here I am taking a selfie at 3 a.m. eating leftover Subway out of my fridge. And I'm
Stop.
like, oh, yeah, maybe
I've
a little
been
bit
really
more
hungry.
I thought
Oh,
this was just
that's
like, I don't know, in my mind, this is normal pregnancy hunger, I get. I don't
yeah,
know. Don't we
yeah. But
all
then
wake
you're
up at
like,
3 a.m.
oh,
and
yeah, maybe that was more than
right.
normal.
Yeah. So anyhow, we ordered an ultrasound after a while. Because of COVID, I think things were just like delayed and it was just longer. It was a longer wait. My husband couldn't be there for it, so it was just me. And I was 20, almost 24 weeks at the time of the ultrasound. And so here I go going into the ultrasound, and I'm just laying there, and the lady puts the wand on my belly and like immediately takes it off and looks at me like with these big wide eyes. And I was just like, talk, like what?
Yeah,
Don't
what?
just stare at me. What's going
Tell
on?
me.
Is something the matter, or is it like what we think? And yeah, so she's, oh my goodness, so there's two babies. And I was like, what? Thinking about it for that many weeks, you're just like, I guess there's a possibility. And then her saying that and looking at the babies, I basically, this poor lady, I just laid there and laughed, cried the whole time of this ultrasound. Like I just had tears streaming. And then I was trying to be respectful to her though and not make my belly wobble from the laughing, but I couldn't, like my heart rate was up and I was just like, I'm so sorry.
Bye. It's my mom. I think I told you they live next door.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's just dropping in.
So cool.
I was like, hey, mom. Okay, so this lady,
Oh,
so you're laugh
so cool.
crying, like accepting it.
Yeah, so I just laid there and laugh cried until she was done. And then I didn't tell my husband until it was that day, but I didn't tell him till he came home from work because I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I have to see his face in person.
Yes,
And
100%.
I must have been acting funky because he was like, did you find out the gender without me? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
No,
no,
it's
I
something
didn't. It's
else.
not that. Yes. And so he's reading this and he's like looking, he's like, baby A, baby B. Whoa, wait a second. And then
Oh.
so he freaked out in the best way. I also have that video posted somewhere on my Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think
So
I've
it
seen
was,
it. Now I'm flashing back. I think I've seen it. I'll have to pull that.
yeah. Yeah. It was cute. But yeah. And then so from there, we just started. My plans didn't change for a home birth.
Okay.
I was
Because
still
you're obviously
very,
allowed to birth twins at home in Michigan.
yes. Finding an attending midwife may or may not be challenging depending on your location. My midwife, greatest human. I love her so much.
Amazing.
She is amazing. She went along with all of my shenanigans. She had assisted births with twins prior, multiple sets throughout the years. And she gave me some contact. If you want to get in touch with this family, they had twins a year ago, a couple years ago, whatever. Here's some ideas. She was very supportive of my twin pregnancy and making sure I kept the babies in. And I really took her literally when she was like, she told me, and it really stuck with me, was that babies come early because they're hungry. Meaning
Whoa.
if the mom isn't getting enough nutrients, the baby is going to find another way
Yeah.
to get them. And that, baby's like, all right, let's get out of here so we can get some more
Wow.
food. And of course, that's not always the case every single
Yeah.
time. I won't even get into that. That's just not the case every single. You can do
Yeah,
all
but
of the right
that's
things, still have your baby
fascinating.
come early.
Yeah.
But yes, I took her literally on that, and we kept those 20s in for 41 weeks.
Oh,
And
amazing.
I think I gave everybody who was a part of the birth team, I think I aged them accidentally by keeping them on their toes because they're like, I remember too telling my midwife, I said, I was very just chill about the whole thing. I think part of it too was actually like this, I don't know if I would say denial, but maybe, I don't know if detachment is the right word either. I was like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I'll believe there's two when I actually give birth to two babies. Like the ultrasound didn't confirm enough. I don't know. But that was my mindset. And even still, I look at the twins, they're 4.5 years old now. And I'm just like, holy cow, I can't believe there's two of you. That's wild.
I can't even imagine, because when you're describing detachment, it's like I've talked about my births recently to a couple of different people, and I couldn't quite find the word. It's part of it. I don't know if this had anything to do with with how you felt. Part of it for me was also miscarrying, part in the past. And part of it was also just going so long. Like Dan and I, we were married so long till we had a baby. We were married 12 years before we had Logan. And so it was also just that feeling that you said of, I'll believe it when I see it. That's how I felt with one baby. And that is why, I don't know if you've seen any of my clips of me when I birth my babies, but I'm like, because I'm literally, oh yeah, you commented on my last video. Yes, I'm in shock. I like cannot believe it. I'm like, wait, they're really, I have chills again. I'm like, I can't believe there was really a person there. Yes. And so to imagine what that would be like to like, boop, there's one, and then boop, there's like, I can totally imagine the detachment, though that's not the right word, but yes.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I say things like this and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm the weird one.
No,
maybe we're the weird one. I don't know.
Maybe that's why we've connected.
Like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I know that they say it's twins, but we'll see about that.
Yeah. There was twins. Yeah.
The coolest twinnies ever. Like, I'm always telling them, I'm like, you guys are just the coolest twins I know. You're so fantastic. Wow. And they're like built-in besties. It's super cool. And their personalities now, it just makes sense from like inside of the womb.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great to see that really play out and get to know those people who you carried, because you do have to get to know those babies. And I think that's also something that some moms don't want to admit sometimes, is that like they do feel detached. I know I just grew this human and birthed this human, but they still feel a little detached when they have this baby, which I think is normal, and it's okay. I think it's normal to also fall head over heels in love with your baby. Feel like you know this baby intimately for its whole whole life. You know this baby. But then on the flip side, I think it's totally fine to be like, I need to really get to know you. I love you so much.
Yes.
But I really don't know you. And like, we gotta talk. You know?
Totally. And I think it's twofold. I think there is something to be said about loss, right? I don't know if it's protective or it's just an understanding that just because you're pregnant does not mean you're about to have a new family member forever. Like having that realization smack you in the face, because with my miscarriage, I didn't understand that, which is weird, because when I was pregnant with Logan, I felt like I always said, if the pregnancy makes it to the end. And then something changed with my second pregnancy where I just assumed, I like covered it in assumptions, and I was very sick as well with my second pregnancy. And I just kept telling myself, like, if I just make it through the sickness, then I have a baby at the end. And then realizing, oh no, that's not guaranteed. So I think there's partially that, something to do with the miscarriage. Oh, geez, women in the past lost so many babies. And then also, I think it has to do with the fact they're a baby. Like, you haven't heard their voice. Like, you get to know their personality. I feel like every day that goes by, little Lizzie, I start seeing more and more of the funny faces she makes. And like, her voice is starting to say words like mama. And it's like, that's what you sound like. So, but at the same time, what you said, I also totally believe, like, everybody's emotions are different. And some people, I feel like right from the get-go, it's just, I don't know if connection's the right word. I don't know. Just your feelings are valid is the point, and I'm just processing out loud.
Yeah, for sure. That was like a whole side note there that, it's a lot. It's a lot having babies, and there is a whole array of emotions that come with it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack that onto a side trail, but you had me thinking about that. So you weren't any more nervous to deliver the twins than you were to deliver your singletons?
I think there was, especially in our culture, where if I had went to the hospital, our policy, whatever here, is that you have to deliver twins in the OR. You can deliver vaginally, but it has to be in the OR.
Wow.
So things like that too is, number one, you're going to have a baby, two babies, one way or the other. It's going to be home or it's going to be at the hospital. And there's really, unless it's in the car, there's no in between there.
Yeah.
A baby is going to exit your body somehow.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great also like mindset, maybe make it sound a little bit nicer to have too with just singleton babies, is like, you're going to have to give birth one way or the other. It's going to be here, it's going to be at the hospital, and you're going to deliver vaginally or you're going to have a C-section. All of it's hard.
Yeah.
You have
right.
to, that's one of those, like, choose your hard, because it has to happen one way or the other, which can be scary too. Like when you're already terrified, oh my gosh, this baby has to come out, which even on my 5th baby, I still would have those feelings, like laying in bed at night. And I would tell Jake, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am just so tired. And I really hope that I don't go into labor tonight because I just want to sleep.
Yeah.
I just, not tonight. You're just talking to your baby. You're just like, please, not tonight. Okay. I did 6 hours of sleep and then like we can talk about it, but please stay in until then.
Yeah.
And then you wake up pregnant and you're like, okay, good.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. I got some rest.
Sunday.
Here we go.
Yeah. And don't listen to your thoughts either. If you're pregnant and listening to this, don't listen to your thoughts at night, because
interesting. Yeah.
I found myself doubting myself so much more at night after a long day, already with the kids, and you're cooking and you're cleaning and doing all of, or working, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then nighttime rolls around and then it's quiet in your mind.
Yeah.
And all of the thoughts flood in. And then all of the doubts flood in. And then you're just like, nope, not today, not tonight. This is my tiredness talking. We need rest.
Yeah.
And rest can do for your mental thoughts in trying to affirm yourself, preparing for birth.
Yes. You got to really take those thoughts captive at night and just choose, no, we can't do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're going to.
Yeah.
All right. What was I talking about?
We were talking about, and wait, I was just thinking the thoughts, just the twins in general, because I don't remember what was before taking our thoughts captive.
Oh, about more doubts with the twins.
Yeah.
Doubting it more. So I think that's where, okay, let's see. Back on track here.
Yeah.
So thinking about that. Oh, okay. And then number 2 is just knowing your statistics on twins as well. And really trying to gauge that, knowing that twins aren't, and I do know this now, twins are not a medical emergency. They're not something that requires you having to attempt like your birth in the OR to begin with. That shouldn't really be the standard of care. And I do think that if women were more educated, I think providers as well, this even goes for some home birth midwives, I think if we were more educated on keeping the twins in, keeping mom healthy, focusing on nutrition, doing chiropractic care, I think so many things would be alleviated. And I don't think that twins would be viewed as such a high risk thing, because I know there's comments after the twins were born that I try not to read the rude stuff because I don't have time for it. Number 1. Number 2, if you're taking time out of your day to leave rude comments, you just need a hug, and I just want to hug you.
Yeah,
you need some sunshine and I want to squeeze you.
And those people, they just don't know. I'm not trying to derail you again, but they just don't know.
And so people being like, oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. I can't believe she would jeopardize her kids for that, all the sake of a home birth. But it's really not. That's just a dramatic flare and really the fear talking from them. With all of that being said, I do still think that sometimes I had in my mind, like, okay, if postpartum hemorrhage is something that can sometimes happen more, and it makes sense. There's a big blood loss volume happening there. So there are like actual things to be aware of. I wouldn't say to let it
be
paralyze you with fear or to expect, but there are things to be aware of. So just those thoughts, knowing that there are actual complications that could happen. I really tried not to even just dwell on them. It was something that I was like, all right, noted, as I'm researching twins. This noted. Okay, we're moving on and we are not living there. We're not giving it attention because it doesn't need attention. And if it does, we'll cross that bridge once we get there.
Yes, exactly.
So all of that to say, I was a little bit more, I don't know if on edge is the correct word with the twins, but I was more aware of some extra complications that might happen. But I also firmly believe that birth is still safe. Birth is safe at home. And of course, there's always exceptions to that. And I think ultimately, birth is also safe where you want it to be and advocating for yourself. But yes, that's it.
I mean, the people that leave, like those kinds of rude comments, like I said it, like they just don't know that there's this entirely different worldview around birth and how it is even made possible. I remember when Dan and I first got married, we lived with some friends. We actually lived in their garage. They like turned it into an apartment, and the friend had home births. And I literally thought she just had home births because they were poor. I was like, oh, they're poor. Okay. And like,
These
I
poor
knew her.
people.
Yeah, okay. They just don't have them. Like, and her mom had birthed her at home. So I thought there was also like a connection. Like, she just wants to do what her mom did. Okay. I had no idea till I was pregnant and my feet were to the fire. And it was like, oh, like you said, these babies have to come out of me. Like, somehow they're coming out. And I started doing research. And then that's when I discovered that there is an entirely different worldview around what even makes birth happen and like how it happens. And so when I was pregnant with Logan, my mom is like pretty crunchy, but I joke with her that she like made me a radical. It's like, Mom, you made me even more, like I'm more crunchy than you are. And she's more crunchy than her parents were, because I remember her talking to me at one point when I was pregnant with Logan. I was really scared and trying to decide what I was going to do, because I did not know from the beginning I was going to do a home birth. Like I said, it became evident as time went on. Oh, I have to make a decision and there are choices here. And I remember she said to me like, well, why don't you just do the first baby at the hospital or a birth center so you can just see how your body does and just know that like you actually can give birth naturally. And that was actually a really clarifying thought for me, because it made me realize, okay, she's got the best intentions. She wants nothing but the best for me. But it was like, oh, no, this is an entirely different worldview. And choosing to do that actually goes against why I would be choosing a home birth in the first place, because choosing a home birth isn't just, oh, I just don't want to go to the hospital, though, yes, that's part of it. It's also the belief around how my body will react in a place that I don't feel safe at versus where I do feel safe, and how that will affect the hormonal cascade, which will influence my dilation and my contractions and all of that. And it was like, dude, I would essentially, in my worldview, right? And I know it's in your worldview as well, I'd essentially be sabotaging my birth by choosing to go to the hospital because I innately know that I don't feel comfortable there. And I do think, I interviewed a friend recently and she was like, I don't think home birthing is for everyone, but I think everyone should consider it. They should look into like, why is that a thing? Why do some women choose that? And if you don't feel safe, like I have a friend who lives right up the street from me, she's pretty crunchy, but she would probably call herself also like wannabe crunchy. And she, in her imagination, thinks that home birthing sounds lovely, but ultimately at the end of the day, she doesn't feel safe birthing at home. And so it was like, then there's your barometer. If you're not feeling safe, don't do it. But I think there's something to be said about that feeling of safety dramatically influencing how labor goes and how those babies come out of you. So I don't know why I just went on that rant, just because we were talking about people leaving you mean comments about the twins, and how I've just realized, because I was one of those people, although I wasn't ever mean or judgy, I just was like, oh, they just don't have the money for it. It's like, people just don't know. No, this person isn't, she's not being reckless. There's a whole like philosophy behind this, like a medical philosophy.
Yeah, I do think that that is something too, that people just, they speak out of fear and complete ignorance, which I, no fault to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be intentional about researching home birth. That's a very intentional thing you'd have to dive into. But the claims that they make are just so far from the reasons that people are leaving mean comments about this is so unsafe and blah, blah, blah. They are so far from the truth.
Exactly.
And that's, you just are like, all right, that's, you really do. Like, you need a hug and some sunshine, and let's go on a walk together.
Yeah. And let me turn on Dr. Stu Fishburne for you. You know him, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's so great. Like I don't think she'll ever see this, even if she does, no offense to you, grandma. But my grandma was like, oh my gosh, like really worried for me with doing home births. And I told my dad, I'm like, you just need to send her Dr. Stu Fishburne, which, to those of you that don't know, he was like the head of obstetrics at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. And now he is I don't know, a male midwife, whatever you call that. And he attends like twin births, twin home births, twin breech births. And he will always say that, like, when people ask these questions, like, does this happen at a home birth? He's like, oh, you just don't understand home birth, because that almost never happens at a home birth, which speaks to what we were talking about before. Just the fears being not true.
Yeah, I think we could have a whole other episode on birth. Because I just won't shut up about it ever.
No, I know. I feel bad. I've only done it twice, and I just hijacked it from you and started like, passionate about it.
I was going to say, yeah, when you like know though, and you are passionate about it, like, it's just, you get rolling on the birth train and you're just like, yes, and this and that and this and that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you delivered the twins, your labor and delivery, and I'm sure I've watched it or read it, I just forget sometimes when I'm interviewing people. And then sometimes when they talk, I'm like, oh yeah, I did see that video, or I remember that. But how long-ish was your labor and delivery? And what would you like to share? What was it like? What were the highlights? How long did it take? All that jazz.
It was very fast, actually. The only reason that I had anybody in attendance is because you just, when you're in like that space that you're just like, no, this isn't labor, it's not happening.
Yes,
but then like
exactly.
the people, your birth team that you're talking to are like, no, that's definitely labor. Yeah. I'm going to stick around. My midwife was like, I'm going to go down. I have a friend who lives really close to you. I'm just going to go hang out at her house for the day. I'll check on you.
Yeah.
My midwife had come over, gosh, I don't know, at some point, and I was having what I thought was Braxton Hicks, which has been, or prodromal labor, I'm sorry, in the past has been my pattern. I'd have prodromal labor for a couple weeks, like before the birth. And then I didn't really realize it was labor until my water broke and the contractions were intense.
Wow.
So I was just basing it off of that. So here I am, 41 weeks, and been having prodromal labor, and I'm just like, I don't know, it's not nothing. The contractions, they're timeable and they've been coming, but I'm still getting snacks, and like, I'm whatever, sweeping the floor.
As you do.
So my midwife was like, okay, so like, what else are you waiting for though? To like tell you that this is labor. And I was like, I don't know. I guess like more intense contraction. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And anyhow, so I agreed to a cervix check, and I was 7 centimeters dilated when she checked me, and I was like, okay. I was like, maybe we are having
go time
today. And so still, like, she left and whatever, and I was still just, I don't know if this is labor. My birth photographer was like an hour and a half away. So she was like, I'll just come. I'm going to head your way. And if you don't need me, I'll turn around. It's no problem, you know? And so I was like, all right. And then same, my best friend who came to be present with my older kids while the twins' birth was happening. She was on a river trip, like a, oh gosh, what do people call it?
A river rafting?
Yeah, like a tube.
Okay.
Tubing.
Okay.
No, that's not it either.
Yeah, I've gone tubing down a river.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's a popular, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank right now. It's very popular.
Yeah.
Anyhow, on her husband's birthday. And she was like, I'm gonna come just in case. So everyone, I was just like, in my head, I'm like, you guys are making it a big deal. I don't even know if this is happening. I didn't feel like any negative anything toward them. I was just like, I think you're wasting your time. Like,
yeah, totally.
Maybe like nothing is happening with my contractions, so I don't really know what to tell you. Yeah. Sorry. And then anyhow, so my midwife had come back, and we were just talking about, so like, what's the plan and how are you feeling, and just talking to gauge where I was at. And so I was just like, I don't know what's happening. Like, we're still here, still pregnant. And so I laid down and nursed my toddler, was almost 3 at the time, laid down to nurse her. And then that's when my water broke, when I was laying down. And it was immediately, I felt baby engage, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And so of course, you never trust the birth poop, right? When you're in labor and you're like, I really have to poop right now. Oh yeah, that was baby trying to come. And so my Jake is in the living room, once I was like, hey, my water broke, Jake was in the living room and he's like pumping up this birth pool by hand. He's sweating because
Oh my
I really love
gosh.
the water. Like when I give birth, I just really love the water. Feels so good.
I figured that out this last time around because I made it to the water. I was like, oh, this is way better. Like,
it's so great. And that's like my favorite.
yeah.
So my favorite like coping tool. So
Yeah.
yeah, bless his heart. He's just pumping away out there, dripping sweat. My midwife's getting all her stuff in the living room ready. It's just me and my birth photographer. And then here comes the baby poop that wasn't poop at all.
Yep.
And so I just remember yelling, the baby's coming. And so everybody runs in. Jake ran in just in time, and then he ended up catching her. And she was almost born on the toilet, and I just started like cracking up laughing.
Oh,
it was just straight adrenaline, and I was just like laughing. That did not just happen. Anyhow, fast forward, my plan was to keep them both attached to the placenta, or to their placentas.
Okay, because they had separate ones.
Yes, they had separate ones, but they fused together.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty cool looking.
If
you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, my cord, it was pretty short. My belly was still big. We're 41 weeks with two over 6 pounds, over 7 pound babies. So there was a lot of baby in there. My belly was big. And so when I lifted baby A up, her cord was pretty short. It tugged on the placenta. I could feel it. And I was just uncomfortable. The baby was getting cold. She was fine. The baby was just getting cold, and I'm still trying to labor baby B down. So we ended up cutting her cord after a minute, and then she was whisked off with my husband, and he held her. And then 26 minutes later, baby B was born, close to where she was born, and and then here we are 4.5 years later, and it was such an amazing birth. People ask me like, what was my best birth or my favorite birth, and I always say it was the twins. They blew my socks off with everything, because I think too, your baby really does. I found that out after my 5th, took 5 babies, but your baby really does work with your body too. And you think it's like all you, but it's really not. Like, it's you and your baby in like this intimate sort of like dance. And I really, like I said, I really felt that with my 5th baby. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say is the twins really, they did so good too. Like, everything was so smooth. It was just such a great birth all around.
Yeah, I know you had said before that, or I've heard you say that your labor with your 5th Abel, right? That his labor and delivery was a lot longer and harder, right? Yeah. I'm not making that up. Yeah. So there really is this element. You really don't know what you're getting into with each delivery. Yeah. That's fascinating though, because I have a friend that just gave birth to twins about a month ago, and her labor and delivery was literally like an hour and a half. Like, they came so fast. So that's really interesting to hear another fast, successful, easy breezy twin delivery. That's so incredible. What a ride that must have been.
It was a wild ride, that's for sure. And we are still on that wild ride.
Yeah, right. Life with twins. Yep. That is so crazy. Yeah, it was crazy to watch from a distance on the internet. Just such a blessing. And I actually think, were you pregnant with the twins? When did you deliver them? Do you have any guess? I know I'm like slamming this on you after we made the joke about remembering birthdays, but do you remember their birthday, year and date? Or month and date, month and year?
Yes. September 3rd, 2020.
Oh, okay. So it was at the end, because I don't know if it was during, I just remember at some point in one of my pregnancies talking to you and having you be like, and it actually might have been that. And you telling me like, oh yeah, I've never really shown in my pregnancies until my 3rd. And now I'm just showing so much faster. Like, I guess I'm just muscle memory. Yeah. And then later it turned out like, oh no, it's because there's 2 in there. It was just a crazy journey to watch even from a distance. And honestly, I feel like we're about to land the plane. I have hit a lot of the main topics that I wanted to touch on, though I feel like we could honestly go Joe Rogan status and go for like another hour and a half about birth and homeschooling and life on the farm.
Gonna come over.
I know, right? I'm like sitting here, I'm like, do I need to come to Michigan and make a little road trip? Because I have three friends that I
Yeah.
love dearly, you and then these two other friends. I'm like, maybe I need to come make a Michigan road trip, or maybe we just need to do this again at
Yes.
some point, because I just, yeah, like I said, I love getting to talk to you and I admire you. And I will say this before we go, not to put you on the spot, but is there anything that has been on your heart or that you felt like, ooh, I really say this in the interview that maybe we haven't touched on, or anything you want to leave people with, encouragement wise, if that's what we want to word it? Just, I want to give space for you to say anything you want to say before we wrap.
Yeah. Just thinking like, right off the bat here, which is kind of random, maybe, but
Yeah.
also not because it is related to motherhood. Something that I have been thinking of for my own self lately that I just like, it's been in my head over, and I find myself washing the dishes or when I'm frustrated with the kids or whatever, is to make motherhood yours. Like those words just keep coming to me. And what I mean is that I think that we have such a tendency, especially in our culture, which I could say so much on too. We have such a very selfish culture. And I want to be careful with how I say it because I don't want a mom or anybody to hear this and think that they're doing things wrong or that their mental state doesn't matter or that they should put themselves even lower on the back or even further on the back burner when there are very real needs that need to be met and addressed. But what I mean by make motherhood yours is that like we really, as women, as mothers, we are the gatekeepers to our families. I think that role has been given to us. It's such a sacred role that I think it's easy to forget how sacred and how honorable it is when we are just like, oh, I have to get up and I have to make breakfast immediately. And my toddler's going to be pulling at my pants and screaming about the milk that he just spilled. And then I have to get groceries later and nobody else ever thinks of me. And I have to take a shower, but nobody ever questions whether or not mom has to take a shower. There's so many things like that. I just think those negative thoughts can really just start cascading, a huge snowball effect. And then you just internalize it all. And then it starts turning into bitterness and resentment. And you really just add fuel to the fire so quickly. And like we have the opportunity to not even each day, each moment is an opportunity to make motherhood what we want it. So like when we step back and we think, what kind of mom do I want to be? Like not what kind of mom am I? What kind of mom do I want to be? Like what does that woman look like? Like for example, for me, that woman is cooking breakfast and dancing with her kids, flipping pancakes on Saturday morning, and we are going for a walk down the road because one of the kids want to. And we're putting on dresses around the house just because I'm a woman and I have daughters and we can do those kinds of things, and it makes you feel fancy. And it's so fun to do things like that, little things, letting my kids help in the kitchen. I'm just things like that. That's the kind of mother that I want to be, constantly pouring into them and realizing that they're only little once and they're really trying their best. And they've never been 8 years old and 46 days before. And they're just showing up and you're like their partner and they're your partner for better or for worse. If you guys are, I don't want to say stuck together.
Yeah.
You guys are together and about that dance, I guess, even like during labor, like this is still that intimate dance that you get to have with your kid and meet them where they're at, meet yourself where you're at, and continually strive to be that mother that you want to be. Because motherhood can be so fun. It can be so fun. And I feel like that is a lie that society has projected on us, is that motherhood means you're giving up your hobbies and you are laying down, which I mean, you're laying down your life, but like in this negative sort of light, like you're only going to amount to changing diapers and I don't know, putting your hair in a messy bun like all the time, which there's no, my hair's always in a messy bun. So
I love a good messy bun.
Like,
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
But we do. We just have this like negative association though, I think, with motherhood and the way society has lied to us and tried to drive us away from that.
Yeah.
Because motherhood can be so fun, like in every way. And it's hard and it has its moments and
Yeah.
there's so many learning opportunities. But if we just take hold of our mindset and really bring us back to that make motherhood yours, like I just think that we could have so much more fun with it. And I feel like I would need like type this out to get my thoughts in order to like what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You might need to write a book one day,
Yeah.
Miss
So
Ashley.
that's one of them.
I said you might need to write a book one day.
might.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, just the make motherhood yours. And then number 2 is, I said it multiple times already, but fail your way forward and done
Yes.
is better than perfect. I
Yes.
first heard these quotes from a friend of mine who also is a first generation rancher. Her name's Allison Askew. She's double J. Gosh, I hope I'm saying this right because I know her. Double J, that's not right. Maybe Double J Ranch. I'll have to find it and
Okay. Yeah, send it to
so
me.
I can sure. And that those have really stuck with me, especially somebody who is a first generation homesteader, and we don't really know what we're doing ever. Does anybody ever really know what they're doing? We're just all doing
faking
our
it
best over here.
or doing your best. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with like being a stay-at-home mom and just showing up for my kids. There's so many firsts that we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not have it all right. You don't have to figure it all out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like really, really do. I have learned so much by failing that I wouldn't have had I succeeded the first time, because I now know 7 different ways to not do something. And I really think that adds to your, what's my word?
Confidence? I don't know. Repertoire of skills? Yeah.
Repertoire. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yes. And so I think it's really also like those are important things as well. We're scared of failure, but I don't think that we have to be. And I think that there's so many learning opportunities within those that are gives you such an advantage, really.
Yeah, these are all things that you very much embody in your presence online and the things that you share. Like you really do a great job at, and it's convicted me before how you bring the kids in to all of the little projects that you do. And they're working on the bread, they're helping you cut the vegetables. And I just think that's so cool. I love cooking. So my mom did not fail at this, but she will say, I wish I had taught you guys how to cook more. And I really don't have many memories like cooking with her in the kitchen. And just in general, that just all of that, the idea of bringing them into things and along and making it what you want, you just, yeah, you embody all of that. And it's very cool. And even this idea of failing your way forward, I see that in your work too, that you're not like perfectionistic about how you present things. You just encourage people to like, just do it. Like it's a mess, but it's okay. And there is something to that. I'm staring at a loaf of bread on my counter right now that it's become a game for us, for me and Dan, because I'm really the one that does the sourdough, but it's all partnership thing because he was the one that started it all those years ago. And then every time and then every time I'm pregnant, he's the one that keeps it going because I'm just too sick. But in a day-to-day basis, I'm the one that does the bread, or he'll be like, oh, do you want me to put that in the fridge? Whatever. But kind of become a game for us that like, when I mess something up with the bread, it's like, doesn't matter. We're going to finish it all the way through so that we understand like the limitations and the range of flexibility there is that exists to still get a completed, decent end product. You know what I mean? And it's really taught us so much. And that's just in the world of sourdough. So I can see like in the realm of life, why that's just a good mindset to adopt in general. And you embody that as the point of that story.
Well, thank you. I try, but also I fail. I fail my way forward.
Exactly. You fail your way forward. Exactly.
Yes, there's plenty of days. I'll just tell on myself. Just yesterday, for example, I was just having a really cranky day. And
gotta love it.
Sometimes you're just like, you know what? I'm not having a good day. Like it's part of the problem's me, but part of it's also my kids who are also cranky. You know what I mean? Like just keeping it very real and But always, just because you had a bad morning, a bad day, doesn't mean that you can't at one point stop and just breathe and have that compassion with yourself and have that grace with yourself and pull your kid aside. I think that's something too that we tend to miss in our culture is talking to our kids like they're another human.
Yes,
like,
totally.
I don't know. We just don't communicate well with them, I don't think. And then I think in turn it gives them this kind of literally not understanding of what's happening around them. You know, just to be like, all right, listen, mom, like I have told my kids so many times, what I did is not the kind of mom that I want to be. I was really angry, and that's why I raised my voice. That voice was probably pretty scary to hear coming from, and whatever. I'm sorry for that. It's not how I want to be. So I want to try again. And can we have a do-over? Let's just start this. Let's just start this over. And don't underestimate either like the power of turning on your Bluetooth speaker and getting some like good tunes going through the house and having dance parties to just break up
the energy, the vibe,
attitude.
the mood.
Yes, because it really can flip things around.
Yeah, man. Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to just sit down and share your motherhood journey, your experience. I feel like I have to stop myself because I like awkwardly pour on the compliments and then just end it with another barrage of compliments, but it just means a lot to me. And I look forward to the day, God willing, when we're able to hang in person. And in the meantime, this was very satisfying to just be able to talk. And I pray that this conversation is a blessing to someone that's watching. And I just appreciate you taking your time. And I guess that's it for now, right? Was there anything else? I feel like that's it.
No, I feel like I could sit here and talk all night. So
no, I know.
Also that.
It's literally very hard.
I know. I have rambled so much. So it's been great. It's been so good.
So much.
It's been great. And
wisdom.
It's such an honor. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.